Well, I just wanted to come and make another video because I had this dream about a pole shift recently, and then I found a lot of confirmations afterwards. So in this dream, I got it on May 6th, and I woke up at 2:48 a.m. I dreamt that I was in a large shift with lots of people. My attention was going to some guy, and I was checking up on him. Like I was doing stuff, but I just kept going to look at this guy a bunch of times. Not sure what was his deal, but I kept looking over, trying to find him and figure out what he was up to. At some point, I could see on a map that the ship was sailing between the southern tips of South America and Africa, but well below, where the land is and closer to Africa. Then we sort of braced ourselves because we were going to keep going on this ship, and we knew that we were going to end up on the other side, and this felt like we were going to end up on the other side of the world. It's kind of weird. It doesn't really make sense if you think of the globe, but I guess we would keep going under or something, the South Pole, and end up on the other side. I don't know. So I just knew we had to brace ourselves, and we were going to end up on the other side. And everyone at this point got all excited once the event that we were bracing for was over, and we had no problem. So it was just over, everything was fine. No one, we didn't really feel anything, we just knew it was over and we were fine. Somehow we had ended up on the northernmost part of the Earth. So, you think about, going down the South Pole, you would end up, still close to the South Pole, right, if you were on a ship. But for some reason in the dream, once this event was over that we were bracing for, we were in the northernmost part of the Earth, and I felt like I said something or knew that this was the North Pole we were at now. So that was the whole dream. So it was just very strange. But that, given that we were at the very southern pole between South America and Africa, and all of a sudden we were at the North Pole, just brought back to mind a pole shift, because I had made a video about this back in 2017, and I had a dream about that. So I looked up what 248 means, and the strongest I found it in Jeremiah. And Jeremiah 32:21 says, "You have brought your people Israel out of the land of Egypt with signs and wonders, with a strong hand and an outstretched arm, and with great terror." So this definitely ran true because we knew it was coming. We were braced for this event, and we were fine. We were all excited and happy that we had no trouble. So it was like the Lord's arm was protecting us in this. So, so this was early May, and then I noticed that, in later, like 20 days later in May, they started putting out all over the media about this anomaly weakening the Earth's magnetic field, and it seems to be splitting. And I was just in shock to see where this was. It was South America and Africa, and in my dream, that's exactly where we were on a ship. Like, I knew it was well below and closer to Africa, so we were probably close, like here. My attention was being drawn to this. I saw it on the map that we were here. So that's really interesting. When I saw this picture, it just brought this dream back to me. Now, in this other article, it says magnetic anomaly may herald a polar flip. That's later, so the fact that this has actually happened is just really interesting. The anomaly itself, it's kind of described here. New readings show that within the past 5 years, a second center of minimum intensity has begun to open up within the anomaly. Something new is happening. This suggests the whole thing could even be in the process of splitting up into two separate cells, with the original centered above in the middle of South America. So that's where it's been all along. And this new anomaly, emerging cell, appearing to the east, hovering off the coast of Southwest Africa. And this is what was being pointed out to me. I'd never heard about this before. The new eastern minimum of the South Atlantic anomaly has appeared over the last decade, and in recent years is developing vigorously. Just how the anomaly will develop from here is unknown, but the previous research has suggested disruptions in the magnetic field, like this one, might be recurrent events that take place every few hundred years. Whether that's what we're witnessing isn't fully clear, or how a split anomaly might end up playing out. But scientists are watching closely. When I was researching some other things, I noticed that Celeste Solum, who's got really amazing alerts out there, was actually talking about a pole shift as well, and that's kind of what the globalist agenda is trying to gain control now to, have control of the situation when something happens. So I'll play a little bit of that.
So basically, it was a CIA operative, that agent, whatever you want to say, that wrote a book called The Adam and Eve Story. There's also a prelude and an aftermath, and it told about these extinction level events. And it was basically went into a pole shift situation, and why the dinosaur bones and the great fauna were all mangled. Lots of bones, and they just didn't understand the power of, or the dynamics of what happened. And it seems to be like it was a pole shift. And as you probably know, we've got the magnetic poles wandering right now, and we have lost some of the magnetosphere. We're at about 75%. It's stable right this moment, but it's expected to jerk. So periodically, and you can't predict when the jerk is going to happen, then it just plummets, and then that's even more cosmic rays will happen. And what that does, not only cosmic ray wise, it provides nucleation for clouds, so you get much more precipitation. And I believe that the global governance knew that all this was going to take place. One, they wanted to feather their nests. They wanted to get control of the situation for themselves, not for us, but to, do their hidey holes wherever, underground bases or wherever they're going to go, off planet. They've got their ducks in a row. So and then tax us and make it impossible for us to live. In Chan Thomas's story, there's a place that says that they felt that synthetic life form would be the only way to survive this sixth extinction level event. So it was classified. So because they wanted to keep it from the people, they didn't want the people to know. But now it has recently been declassified. The disaster, cataclysm, catastrophe part is accurate, but the biblical thing, is not an accurate story. I obviously wasn't a Bible believing person, but I tell you, it's hair raising. I mean, he really nailed it from what I gleaned from my dad.
With this global government move, how rapidly do you see it occurring that we're out of the current system that we're in now into another system?
We are already there. They are already talking about the new normal. So what you're going to find as we all get released from our little cages, that we're going to find a whole new system. And we're not going to have accessibility to food, to medical, to the different things that we have enjoyed historically and traditionally. We are going to find ourselves in this brave new world.
Also in this video, she talks about what the name coronavirus actually means in the global agenda.
So it is not coincidental that the coronavirus has the name of corona. And if you look up the word corona in the Hebrew, it means the Mazarot. And what is the Mazarot? It's found in the oldest book of the Bible, and that's the book of Job. And it literally means a garland of crowns. And I will let your imagination run with that. It's in the context of the 12 astronomical constellations that we see move across the sky. It's often interpreted as the zodiac, the wheel of stars, or the constellations, and is referred to in Job 38, 31, and 32. The Mazarot is not astrology. It tells the story from creation to redemption and written in the very stars. And I just want to drive home that this is not astrology. We can see that many of great authors and biblical scholars looked to the stars, and what they saw was the Bible, and it brought it to life. This is not coincidental. This is a deliberate release, and the name is very significant. Then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged. The soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns and put it on his head and dressed him in a purple robe. And they went up to him again, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews," and slapping his face. John 19:2. Just before Christians are persecuted, this coronavirus appears. Coincidentally, just as the probes in space are ready to study and document our sun's surface and the corona as she roars to life in what promises to be an increasing threat to humanity and bringing many different forms of extinction level threats. So on October 31st, 2018, the global bee system was presented to the world. it is now time for the coronation.
It's amazing that I ran into Celeste's information about these cataclysmic events and how the control that's being enforced now is kind of a result of these things kind of on the horizon. I was just, when I was originally looking at her stuff, it was from my last video about the hydrogel and the markings of the beast stuff, so I didn't expect to see anything about, pole shifts and magnetic disturbances in her videos. But when I saw that one about the Maseroth, it's really interesting because I mentioned, the Maseroth in a video that I did, the one about the pole shift, from another dream that I had July 21st of 2017. And the big clue there that didn't make any sense in the dream itself, when I'll play it for you right now, but I was coming out of a building and I saw that there was a line of people trying to buy shoes. And back in 2017, I mean, it would probably have been extremely rare to see people having to line up just to buy shoes. I mean, you could go to a store and, have as many people in there. So I never experienced that before, but now these lines are just commonplace everywhere. So as you see here, people have just started going back to shopping as the lockdown restrictions are being eased, and you see tons of people in lines. Tons of people in lines. I know in Los Angeles, people were queuing up for over an hour just to buy Nikes. That would have been unheard of back in the day. So in the dream, that was kind of odd. You would only see lining for Star Wars or movies or things like that, but it was out of the ordinary. But now this would be completely ordinary, part of the new normal. So I'll play that dream.
I was kind of in a building like this. There were lots of skyscrapers around. I want to say it was either New York or downtown LA. And it was kind of like this. I was inside and I was trying to get outside because I knew something was going to happen. And so I was moving quickly and there were people shopping. I guess there was a store down here. And I just thought to myself, oh, I can't believe all these people are standing in line to buy these shoes. They're not even nice. And they were like these light brown kind of felt boots. And I looked at them and I was like, totally not interested, and I was in a hurry. But there was a big line of people in line to buy these boots. And then I was, making my way up quickly, and there was like a car, somewhere above, and I started to hold on to the car, kind of in preparation for a tilt. So it kind of felt like, that's why I have a picture of the Titanic, when Rose and Jack are heading up, because it's starting to tilt over, and they need to find something to anchor them to the top so that they don't just fall, and everybody started falling, right? So similarly with my thing here, I guess if it was going to start tilting somehow, I guess I wanted something to anchor me so that I would survive the tilt. I mean, obviously these would probably just fall all on top of me, but somehow what I was doing made sense, and I knew it was coming. Nothing had started happening yet, but I was holding on to rails and to all kinds of stuff just, because it could happen at any moment. And I wasn't the only one. It was like me and maybe one or two other people were kind of starting to do the same thing. Good video here that does a good job of explaining and putting different visions within the Bible.
Revelation 4:7. He said, and the first creature was like a lion. There it is, Leo, the lion of the tribe of Judah. And I explained all this in my presentation on the book of Revelation. So if you want a full breakdown, go watch that video. He says, and the second creature was like that of a calf or a bull or a cow, whatever you want to say, or an ox. That's Ephraim, and Taurus. He said, and then the third creature was like a man. That's Reuben, which is Aquarius, the man, the water bearer. And the fourth creature was like a flying eagle. There he is. He's talking about Dan. Scorpio. It could be a scorpion or an eagle.
So I find it really interesting that in this dream that I had about the pole shift, my first one, back in July 21st, 3 years ago, that I was actually led to, the heavenly scroll. And, we know that Corona actually means the Maseroth, and that's, these signs, these constellations are actually part of the heavenly scroll, the stars that the Lord created. So this is the Maseroth, what Celeste was talking about, a biblical Hebrew word found in the book of Job, and it is a garland of crowns. in the Book of Job, it's talking about these constellations here. That canst thou bind the chains of the Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Can thou lead forth the Mazzaroth in their season? Just wanted to put that out there. I think, the time is close. I mean, the dream that I had about back in 2017, there was a line of people. That makes a lot of sense now. Now, the shoes that they were trying to buy in the dream were boots. So I Googled it, and it looks like fall boots don't come into the stores for the sales until about July or August. So definitely a time frame to look out for. I know this summer has already, a lot of people have already alluded to, just a lot of things coming forth this summer. So let's keep watching. Thank you.